this is difficult for me. I want to talk about God right now, like my perceptions of God for the, because I know that that's one of the big issues that a lot of schools, that some schools, I should say, have, is like, what's my, I'm delivering a message to kids, and, some schools are really sensitive about if my message is aligned with their beliefs and values and what have you. And so people ultimately want to know, like, what is your faith? Do you believe in God? What is God to you? And some want to know, are you a Christian? And so here's what I want to tell you is, I deliver my program I delivered in secular schools, I delivered in Christian schools, I delivered in First Nation schools with strong spirituality there. And yes, I am a Christian. And what I want to share with you is the last tour I was at. Like right now I'm in the States, and there's a strong Christian values down here, which is totally awesome. I'm going to be doing some schools in New Mexico and Arkansas this week, and, strong Christian values. And last week I was in Alberta, and I spoke at a Seventh-day Adventist church and did my program there. What happened is I was in that school last year, and they loved the program, they loved the results, brought me back. And this time, rather than speak to just the kids, they wanted me to speak to the whole community so that I could offer the Power of Choice program to the whole community, not just the kids this time. And they told me, please feel free to speak about God. And so I did. And it was so awesome to be able to, freely share my convictions of God and Christ. But here's the downside. When I talk about God, what ends up happening is, my program's like a funnel. I speak to a big audience, whether it's a school or it's a community event, and then out of that big audience, it's like it funnels down, and a percentage of people will come to find out how to break a bad habit and how to replace that bad habit with healthy habits, habits of thought and action, all these different things. But statistically, what I find is whenever I talk about God, I get two things happen. It's great for me because I love talking about God, but percentage-wise, less people come to learn how to find out how to break a bad habit. And then furthermore, after that they come to that session, the program funnels again to a smaller group of people that want to be part of a healthy habits community, a community of people committed to replacing unhealthy habits, unwanted habits of any sort, and it's confidential, anonymous what they are, with these healthy habits that work. So ultimately the program results in people increasing their self-esteem, their energy and all that, feeling better about themselves, so that the need or the desire to escape emotional pain through their unwanted habit diminishes. And then, then after speaking at that religious school, then I spoke at another school that same week in Alberta that was very, very religious, which I was so excited about. Like I got to come in the morning and be with all the teachers that show up an hour early, and they actually do prayer together before the kids show up. They read the Bible, they sing a hymn, and I was part of that. It was like amazing. And then we went into the auditorium where I did my big talk. And before I did my big talk, they had like a little mass, and again the kids they read the Bible, they sung a hymn, they did a prayer, and they start every day like that in assembly. And then they introduced me, and they told me to speak freely about God, and I did. And then what happened again is a smaller percentage of kids came to get help on how to break a bad habit, and then I also noticed. The kids that came, they weren't the ones that were really, really suffering, the ones that are really, really hurting. And it's great that they came, but I noticed they were mostly kids that maybe just had a bad habit and they wanted to change it, and they already had, pretty good lives. But my program is out to attract not just those people for sure, but also those kids that are really struggling and really suffering. And let me back up to that other school, the Seventh-day Adventist school. I should say church that I spoke at last week. Of the kids that did come, so there were these two kids that actually did come from the church presentation. They came the next day on a Saturday, And so I did the church program on the Friday night, and then the Saturday morning and early afternoon we did the Healthy Habits program, the How to Break a Bad Habit Healthy Habits program. And what I noticed was same thing. Kids and adults that have like unwanted habits, but the adults and kids that I could tell by looking in their eyes were struggling the most, that were probably, having drug problems or other things that are more severe, like really beaten up, that really have that victim mentality. They didn't choose to stay for the whole program. And I've noticed that happens whenever I speak about my passion about God. And so, so what I've learned from this is so here's what I want to tell you. If you're a school considering booking me, yes, I'm a Christian, and I'm there to serve you and your school in any way you want. But I've noticed that even in Christian schools, like I'm not a Seventh-day Adventist person, and I noticed that even Christians, have different beliefs, and, we disagree and agree on different things. And, the subject of God is controversial. The subject of Christianity is controversial. Even if you're a Christian, a lot of us Christians, we don't agree with one another. So my job is to honor you, honor your beliefs, honor your values, and be a servant to you, to be of maximum service to God and the people about me, being you. And I just want to warn you that if you want to allow me to speak freely about God, I'll do that. But there is a consequence. Statistically speaking, the follow-up portions of the program will attract less people that really, really need the help. So why is that? I don't know. God knows. But here's my viewpoint on it. My program is not 12-step based. I'm the founder of a nonprofit 12-step based organization, by the way, nonprofit that serves people all over the world suffering from any and all compulsive habits and addictions. So nobody gets left behind. So I do have a background with that and real strong roots in the 12 steps. My program is not 12 steps based. It utilizes the elements that worked in my life in a way that's inclusive to all people, regardless of their beliefs or non-beliefs or their spirituality or not spirituality. But here's what I want to tell you. In the 12 steps, the first step is that you admit you're powerless over an addiction, let's say, and your life had become unmanageable. We don't start introducing the concept of God right away. First, we have to share with people, exactly what's causing their destructive habits. A lot of these kids, a lot of these adults believe that they've got warped views on God. Many of them hate God. Many of them think God did this to them, and there's just so many people have such complex viewpoints on the subject of God. And a lot of people that are addicts or people that are really, really suffering have what's called victim mentality. They blame and complain about about everything in their life, and it's somebody else's fault why their life sucks. So to introduce the concept of God too early just isn't appropriate. And so, I'm only there for a half day, 3.5 hours is the follow-up portion of the program. I'm there for the assembly or the keynote presentation, and then the follow-up parts of the program are 3.5 hours max. And I've found from my experience of speaking to thousands and thousands of kids and adults, working with hundreds of addicts of different sorts, that you got to be sensitive when and where to bring up the subject of God. So, bottom line though, is I'm there to support you. I'd rather come to your school, come into your community, I should say, whatever community school, and honor your values and beliefs. In fact, at that one of the schools that I was in recently, very highly religious beliefs. And what I shared with them, and when the kids did come to the follow-up workshop, I said to them, I just want you to know that, my beliefs and viewpoints on God may be different than yours. And I want you to know that I honor and respect your viewpoints on God. And if you catch me saying anything, I was speaking to the adults and the kids, if you hear me say anything at all that is at all conflicting to your faith, your beliefs, your viewpoints, I really want you to speak up and correct me and let me know. Because I don't want that to get in the way, and I'm here to honor and respect your viewpoints and your faith.